Hey guys, happy Friday. We are back for another episode of Seeking the Lost, and today we are talking about um, do we love ourselves? So here's the question. Do you really love yourself? And um, how do you know that you really love yourself? So uh, I'm coming from First Corinthians chapter 13, and I was speaking with my mentor and my therapist earlier, and he was asking me a question about, why is it so hard for me to see my see beauty in myself? And even though I theoretically know that I am beautiful, sometimes I struggle. When I look in the mirror, I don't always see what other people see. And even if I've heard, oh, you're so pretty, you're so beautiful, you can be a model, I've heard that all my life. I never really believed it. And my mentor asked me, why don't you try telling yourself that you are beautiful in the mirror every day? And I've been doing that, and I have seen an improvement in my self-esteem, and I've also seen a change in my attitude. I don't feel like I need to get compliments anymore. Meaning, like, even if I do get a compliment, I'm not like, finally, I got a compliment. It's not like that anymore. I'm no longer thirsty for compliments. So I'll say thank you, but it's not like I've been waiting all these years for someone to say something nice to me. It's no longer like that. So the speaking, like telling myself I'm beautiful in the mirror every day has been working. And so that's the topic of our discussion is, do we love ourselves? And how do we know? I've heard the term self-love, right? And I'm sure you've heard it at some point in your life. And if you haven't, well, you're going to hear it today. um, we need to love ourselves, but nobody talks about how. Like when I first heard, like, we need to love ourselves, the first thing that came to my mind was, go to the spa, uh, wear nice clothes, treat myself, treat yourself, things like that, which is fine. Those are nice things. Like, definitely do nice things for yourself. However, it doesn't end there, meaning going to the spa, exercising, which is good. All of those things are good. That isn't where the self love starts, and it's not where it ends either. So, oftentimes, when I hear about self love, it's always very surfacey. It's like, look nice, dress up, wear your best outfit, uh, uh, take care of your physical appearance, which is true. Taking care of our physical appearance is important, and it is a part of self love. However, it's not um, the beginning. It's not the beginning, but it is a part of it. So today I want to use 1 Corinthians chapter 13 as our standard as to what does self love really look like. So if you have your Bibles, if you don't, I'm going to be reading from First Corinthians chapter 13. I'm using the Passion Translation, and it says, "If I were to speak with eloquence in earth's many languages and in the heavenly tongues of angels, yet I didn't express myself with love, my words would be reduced to the hollow sound of nothing more than a clanging cymbal. And if I were to have the gift of prophecy with a profound understanding of God's hidden secrets, and if I possessed unending supernatural knowledge, and if I had the greatest gift of faith that could move mountains, but have never learned to love, then I am nothing. And if I were to be so generous as to give everything away I own to feed the poor, and to offer my body to be burned as a martyr without the pure motive of love, I would gain nothing of value. It says, verse 4, love is large and incredibly patient. So we're focusing on self love, right? Oftentimes we're told that to love yourself is to treat yourself nicely, but sometimes like we're treating ourselves in a poor way. Like, for example, like I used to do this thing and I recently stopped doing it, like negative self-talk. Sometimes like in the mirror I would speak the affirmations over myself, but I wouldn't speak them with with a tone of like kindness and gentleness. So like even though I was doing the affirmations, my tone was very like angry and mean. And I had to investigate. Why do I talk like that? Like, why am I so aggressive in the mirror? Why am I yelling these words to myself? And so I started doing some just like investigation, like looking within, and trying to find out like why do I talk like this, and why do I use this tone with myself, and I'm standing right here. Why am I yelling at myself? And I noticed that growing up, I didn't have that example with in front of me. Like, for example, the people that were my parental figures, they didn't show me what it looks like to speak gently and lovingly. So I adapted to that behavior as well. So for example, growing up, I heard my mom saying mean things to herself. So then I started doing it too. And even though technically we do choose what we do. However, like there are patterns that are formed over time. Even though our parents may not necessarily say those mean words to us, and sometimes they might, if they speak negatively to themselves, if they speak down to themselves, condescending, they call themselves ugly, and then someone says to you like, "Oh, you look like your mom or your dad," you know, and you always hear your mom saying, "Oh, I'm so ugly." Then when someone says, "You look like your mom or your dad," you're going to think, "Oh my God, I must be ugly." So that's what I was going through. I used to hear my mom saying, how ugly she was. And then when someone said to me, "Oh, you look just like your mom." And it sounded like an insult, but the person wasn't insulting me. It was a compliment. My mom is beautiful, but because uh, she never said that to herself in front of me, what I heard was her calling herself ugly. So when someone said I look like my mom, I thought, "Oh, you're saying I'm ugly?" So that's what it would come up. That's what would come to my mind because of the things that she would say to herself. So I'm saying this to say sometimes we speak to ourselves in a condescending, mean way because we saw our parents doing that to themselves, or our parental figure. Basically, whoever raised you, whoever raised us, whoever we spent the most time with growing up, how they treated themselves is how they taught us to treat ourselves. So this is what I've been working on with my therapist, uprooting all of those bad habits like negative self-talk, being condescending towards myself, condemning myself, shaming myself, especially when I made especially when I make mistakes, because we all make mistakes. That's just human nature to make mistakes. It's normal. But growing up, I grew up in a household that was very abusive and toxic. So if you made a mistake, you got yelled at, you got beat, you got physically reprimanded, slapped. spanked. I don't know if you guys know, like some people use belts to hit their children. I'm not saying that it's a good thing, but growing up, that's what I would get. So if I made a mistake, I was treated like that. Also by teachers in I lived in the Caribbean at St. Martin for a short amount of time, for a period of time, and I went to like elementary school there. And in the school that I went, they were very abusive. And at that time, physical, what do you call it? The discipline system that they had was physical abuse. And even though technically the people that sent their children to the school didn't want them to do that, but that was a part of their uh, disciplinary system. So they were very, very physically abusive to the students. So if you made a mistake, they would hit you with a ruler on your hand, or shame you, embarrass you, humiliate you. And this was something that was practiced in that school. So I grew up in a institution that um, punished us, punished the students, and a family that punished me for making mistakes. So now as an adult, I'm having to unlearn this behavior, that if I make a mistake, it's not the end of the world. I don't need to yell at myself. I don't need to beat myself down internally. So I would have that internal dialogue, and I'd be like, oh, you're so stupid, why did you do this? And it would just go on and on and on. So this is something that I learned from when I was a child, and now it's being uprooted. So I'm replacing it with positive self-talk and encouragement, and understanding that practice is progress, and mistakes is a part of how I learn. So I had to renew my mind to the truth of what does real discipline look like. It's not abusive. Discipline is love, and it's you acknowledging your mistakes, and changing them, but you do it with the attitude of gentleness and kindness, and patience, understanding that no human being can change themselves at all. We can't change ourselves. We need help. We need Jesus. He's the only one who can help us change. And also understanding that, um, even if we grew up in a family that did not appreciate us, that doesn't mean that we're worthless. And so that's something that I'm unlearning as well, because I didn't grow up in a household that appreciated me. I grew up in a broken household. I was raised partially by my grandma, my aunts and uncles, and my mom. And then I met my biological father later on in life. So I didn't have a stable, healthy, loving household. I had a toxic, abusive, broken household. So these are things that I'm unlearning, and what I'm doing right now is I'm in therapy, and I have a life coach who's been helping me uh, see the patterns, the negative patterns, the toxic patterns that were created over the years, and helping me to identify those patterns one by one, uproot them and change them. So I acknowledge certain things, and then I replace it with a new one. So this is what I've been doing, and this is a lifelong journey. So I'm not done, but this is my progress so far. So this week, the thing that was uprooted in me was negative self-talk, and basically learning to like myself, and becoming someone that I like, and becoming someone that I want to be around. So that's something that I'm currently practicing, and I started practicing the self-love habits, and I'm just going deeper into that. So my measurement as to how I'm doing has been First Corinthians chapter 13, because it describes what love is, what love looks like. And if you truly, truly are loving yourself and you're growing in it, um, our lives should reflect these patterns. So starting at verse 4, it says, love is large and incredibly patient. Love is gentle. Are we gentle with ourselves? Like when you give yourself, like if, for example, if you like brush your hand against yourself, are you gentle? Like when you comb your hair, are you gentle? When you speak to yourself, are you gentle? When you make a mistake, how do you talk to yourself when you make a mistake? When you do something wrong, how do you speak to yourself? So just kind of measuring that, like love is gentle and consistently kind to all. So we can be kind to our friends, but are we kind to us? Are we kind to ourselves? So how we treat ourselves, how we treat ourselves is how we're going to treat other people. So it says love is gentle and consistently kind to all. So are we including ourselves in the kindness? So do we do kind acts towards ourselves, or do we leave ourselves last, or do we forget to take care of ourselves sometimes? Do we forget to eat? This is something that I used to do. I would forget to eat and then like go to work hungry. And then like I'd be so like cranky because I didn't eat, and I was just so busy trying to like help someone else at the time, and I would neglect myself. So I wasn't being very kind to myself. It also says it refuses to be jealous when blessing comes to someone else. Um, do we notice that when we're talking to someone and they're talking about their achievements, how are we feeling? Are we happy for them and hopeful for our goals, or are we happy for them and we're just like, yeah, that can never happen for me, like we got to look at how we talk, our inner dialogue. Like, what are we saying on the inside? Because sometimes we may not express it outwardly, but if you listen to yourself on the inside, you'll hear how you really speak to yourself. So that's what I've been doing, trying to hear, okay, how am I talking to myself on the inside? You know, so it says, it refuses to be jealous when blessing comes to someone else. Love does not brag about one's achievements nor inflate its own importance. So I used to think that this was confidence, bragging, and talking and going down the list of all the things that I've done. And I thought this was self love, but it wasn't, because truly, when you really love yourself, you don't brag, you don't. And also, when you really love yourself, you whatever you've achieved, you are like you're happy about it, but you don't need to prove to anyone that you're successful. Love does not traffic in shame and disrespect. So this goes back to the, like, when we do something wrong or when something doesn't work out the way we want it, are we shaming ourselves? Are we condemning ourselves? For example, like, let's say we take a test and like maybe we didn't get like the grade that we wanted. Maybe we wanted an A, but we ended up getting like a C. How do we talk to ourselves when we don't achieve a goal? Are we being negative? Are we calling ourselves stupid? Are we quitting? Are we giving up? Are we, like, we got to look at that. So, because it's like, if we're going in that direction, we got to work on failing elegantly, because it's not really a failure if we don't achieve a goal. It's more like, okay, why did this happen, and what can I learn from this situation, and um, how can I move forward, and try again. So looking at how we speak to ourselves when things don't work out, when we don't get our way, or even if like something happens, and we find ourselves feeling like this was supposed to go this way and it didn't, how are we responding to that? And that will tell us, like, if we're loving ourselves, if we're growing in self-love, or we need some more work in that area. It says, nor selfishly seek its own honor. So, like, are we selfish? This is something that I was confused about for a while. Like, self-love, you know yes, we have to have some level of um, focus on ourselves. Yes, but real self love, it's I focus on myself first. I help myself first, and then if I have the means to help another person, if they need slash want the help from me, and I actually have the ability to help them, and helping them isn't going to make me poor or make me harmed or make me like go down in life. Meaning, for example, if let's say you have, you know, millions of dollars, and let's say your neighbor, your friend, let's call her Sheila. Sheila needs some money, but you know that Sheila has a bad habit of spending all her money, and she also has a bad habit of never paying people back, you know. So you feel like, well, I do have millions of dollars and Sheila needs some money. However, you know, if you give Sheila this money, is it going to make you in a bad situation? Is it going to put you in a bad situation? Like, is it going to make you poor? And also, if you help Sheila with some money, is she going to become dependent on you? Because that's not what we want either. You know, is Sheila going to learn her lesson and 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 learn some good financial habits? So we have to think about it. Like, sometimes not helping somebody is also helping them, because it might hurt us in the long run. So we have to think about, you know, if we're going to help this person, what's going to happen to us if we do? Are we going to uh, lose peace? Are we going to, is our life going to become chaotic if we help them? Are they going to become like a leech, like a parasite? You know, if we give Sheila some money um, today, is she going to come back tomorrow asking for more money? Because then we don't want to help Sheila, because Sheila doesn't want help. Sheila wants, you know, to become your child. So in this context, we need to think about ourselves, and if helping somebody else is going to put us in a bad situation, you know, because self-love includes safety, physical, spiritual, emotional, financial safety. So if we're helping somebody, and if we choose to help this person and it's going to cause us to lose something that we need, then we shouldn't, you know. So that's also self-love. But then on the other end, if we have the ability to help, and this is actually going to be helpful to them and to us, then we should. Because then it's like we're considering our neighbor in a healthy way, but at the same time we're not becoming our neighbor's mother or father, you know, because they can help themselves. So, nor selfishly seek its own honor. Love is not easily irritated or quick to take offense. So, um, thinking about like our attitude, you know, are we always complaining? Are we always irritable? Because that's also a sign that we're not loving ourselves. Um, this is something that I used to do. You know, I don't recommend you doing this. I'm just sharing it as like a cautionary tale. I used to overwork myself. I used to work like two jobs, and then I would like work like 8 hours, um, sometimes nine, and sometimes I wouldn't have any days off, and I would go back to back, and I thought that this was like me being like strong and hard worker, but actually like it wasn't. I because I my health started to fail, and I started to, you know, go into depression and stuff, you know. And it was a really bad idea. um, and I was very irritable. And I was very like, I wasn't really doing the job to like the best of my ability because I was overworking myself. I thought that, if I just got more money, then it would make my life easier. But then I ended up working more to maintain the lifestyle that I was living. So I never really got to enjoy any of the things that I had, because I was always working. And so when I did have a day off, it was just like, I couldn't even like relax. I couldn't even enjoy my days off when I did have them. So easily irritated, and quick to take offense. And so I was super irritated and I was super offended, even to the point where when I saw other people enjoying their life, I was miserable. Just seeing other people having a good time made me miserable because I was miserable. I wasn't loving myself. So this is our indicator. Are we easily irritated? Are we always offended? Something is wrong. Something's wrong in the self-love department. Love joyfully celebrates honesty and finds no delight in what is wrong. So this is another cautionary tale. I used to love like fantasy stories. Nothing wrong with that. It's just I used to live my life like it was a fantasy story. I wanted to. And I was very delusional. And that wasn't very helpful. And that wasn't self-love. And I didn't want to hear the truth. And there's things that I did with certain individuals because I was believing a lie about them. And it's not like they didn't tell me. It's just I refused to believe it because it was going to like cause me to face reality. So it's not self-love if we don't want to face reality, if we don't want to hear the truth, if we can't be corrected, if we feel like if someone were to tell us or be honest with us that they're being mean, it's not self-love. If we can't hear something that can help us in the long run, if we feel like this person has to tell us what we want to hear, that it isn't self-love. So this is our indicator. you know do we like to hear whatever we want to hear only, and can we take correction? you know and finds no delight in what is wrong. I used to find a lot of delight in what was wrong. I watched a lot of like trashy TV, like the TV shows where it was just mostly drama, because I felt like my life was so boring. So I wanted to watch those TV shows to spice it up, and that's what I found my delight in other people's misery at that time, because I was miserable, and that's an indicator. Do you find delight? Do you take pleasure in hearing about someone's failures, someone's drama? Do you like hearing about another person suffering? If you do, that's an indicator that we need some more work in the self-love department. It says, love is a safe place of shelter, for it never stops believing the best for others. Love never takes failure as defeat, for it never gives up. So how are you doing with your personal goals and things that you're trying to achieve? Are you in destiny? Things like that. This is our measuring scale. It's our scale of, excuse me, if it's our scale to tell us how we're doing, and if we're going in the right direction in terms of self-love, and also if we truly are going in the right direction in life in general. So as you know, this podcast isn't just a podcast about achieving our dreams and goals, but it's also about the one that is the giver of those dreams and goals, and the one that sent us here to fulfill the destiny that he has for us. So have you ever asked yourself if you're going in the right direction? and be honest. Because if you really are, what I just read to you, 1 Corinthians 13, is the direction. And if you find yourself, if you're looking at this and you're looking at yourself and it's not matching up, and I'm not saying perfect, I'm saying, you do see some patience in your life? Do you see, do you see some contentment? Do you see um, kindness in your life? Like, are you kind to yourself? Are you kind to others? Genuinely. Meaning, are you kind without the motive of, I want people to say nice things about me? Are you kind genuinely? Are you kind because you've experienced the kindness of God? So that's the question. Because the self-love doesn't happen without Jesus. We need him. We need him for absolutely everything. And truly, we can't truly love ourselves without him. So here's the question that I have for you. Do you love yourself for real? Because if you do, Jesus is love. And if you don't already have him in your life, and not just in your life, but if he isn't the master of your life, if he isn't God to you, you're not going to be able to do the self-love thing. We can't love ourselves without him. That's the truth. The best we can do is conditional love, and conditions are circumstantial. So if you find that you're not loving yourself, ask yourself, is Jesus Lord for real? Is he Lord of your life? Have you actually surrendered to him completely? Not in just one part. I'm not talking about going to church. I'm not talking about reading your Bible. I'm talking about intimacy. Do you have intimacy with him? Do you allow him to see into your heart and show you what you really look like? And if you haven't done this, now is the time. Jesus is right there with you. And the reason why you're watching this is because he led you to this video. It wasn't your idea, it was his. So now is the perfect time to ask him to truly take all of you right now. So if you haven't done it right now, and maybe you're feeling like, I don't know, maybe later. Maybe you're feeling like that. Think about it. Do you really love yourself? Because if you do, Jesus will be your everything. Is he your everything? And if he isn't, today is the perfect time. Right now is the perfect time to make him your everything. So guys, that is it. This is the end of the episode. I thank you so much for listening, and happy travels, happy self-reflection, and I hope you guys have a good rest of your day and also weekend. Bye.